Hey guys, Stealth here and welcome back to Wargame, where I considered this replay for the next installment of Seconds from Disaster. And then I watched it, and I thought, well, I think that wouldn't really do it justice. You know, there's this Murphy's Law that when something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Now apparently there's a whole bunch of Murphy's military laws as well. And one particularly comes to mind for this particular replay. Professional soldiers are predictable, but the world is full of dangerous amateurs. Now, let's just say that this is going to be a really unpredictable game. And to completely highlight it is going to be very difficult, so I'm going to be jumping around the map a little bit. And for that reason, I'm switching to the neutral view. I'm not going to be following any particular player. Credit for this one does go to Cocaine Train, because he's the one who actually sent in the replay. It is a really, really weird match. It's a really weird match. You're gonna be looking around going, what the hell is going on? I have a couple of the Murphy's military laws on my screen, so I'm going to try to insert those whenever possible. I'll make sure that the link is in the description, so you guys can get a good laugh out of that, because there are some really, really funny ones. For example, if you don't remember what direction the Claymore mine is placed in, it's your direction. Anyway, let's have a look at the game. It is Wanzen Harbor, it is the naval variant, so you can call in ships, and that's exactly what is going to happen. Interestingly, Blue 4 is going out in force. There is a big train of units going directly towards the middle. And there seems to be a distinct lack of Red 4 infantry. This is friendly fire. Apparently this was friendly fire by Boba. And he immediately proceeds to wipe out, well, a good portion of the column that was supposed to be heading towards the town. You can still see the handiwork of the Ak-38M over here. He's not even done dropping. He's gonna possibly cut off the Spatsnaz unless they get lucky enough to be outside the blast zone, but this is the first thing. And it's another one of those Murphy laws. Friendly fire isn't. This is just a really bad start for Red 4, because now they're gonna be lagging behind in a big way. If Blue 4 manages to secure these buildings, they're going to have a hard time trying to kick them back out. Now, on the far right, on the far left for Red 4, we have Mr. CPU, who's dropping off his command vehicle. He says it's CV only, and that's because it is the naval variant. And Mr. CPU is already indicating that he's going to be going with ships. Blue 4, for some reason, is slow in sending their own command vehicle over to Foxtrot. This is something else that I thought was funny, given the political climate currently. Joe Biden's son surrenders. I'm not going to go too deeply into the politics. And then Joe Biden's son has left the game. Yeah, sure. Anyway, we got the Avenger pushing up. An Avenger is in the lead, by the way. It seems like at least one of the players who was operating these units is still here, because some of them are still moving. But apparently, Joe Biden's son just went fuck it and left. And considering that, I think a good portion of his units were the ones that got bombed. Can't really blame him. Anyway, Blue has the town. They are slowly jumping building to building and pushing up very aggressively. But then again, there is nothing from Red 4 to greet them. On the far right, we have a whole bunch of ships being spawned in. Ask About surrenders, which is another Red 4 player that got bombed apparently. We got 3 Jiang Yu 3s coming in. A couple of medium veterancy, and this one is a rookie. If you're going ships in a 10v10 tactical, please do not bring a rookie ship, because it is not very capable of defending itself. The welcome wagon is already in position. This guy over here has a quad stack of Burlier Exocets. Range, 7,000 meters with an accuracy of 70% and an AP of 80. They fire a total maximum of 16 missiles. Probably not so much in one salvo, but if they do get them off, it's going to be very hard for any one ship to survive that. And here we go. First salvo, second salvo, third salvo, and the fourth salvo are all going out, but they're going towards the different ship. Instead of going for the Jiang Yu, they're going for the Hujian. and Hujans are far less expensive. So this guy just, well, he did sink a ship, but he sunk the wrong one. And I'm pretty convinced that Blue 4 definitely knows that there are, yep, they know that there are 3 ships out there, but they just decided to pick the wrong ones. The Jiangyus are not having any of this shit, and are immediately proceeding to kill off one of the exocets. Still, 12 missiles, which can hit those Jiangyu 3s pretty hard, and will penetrate their Seawiz, is still a reasonable threat for these guys. So they're trying to bring in a command unit. We're gonna let that situation simmer for a bit, and jump back to the middle, where Blue 4 still has a couple of units out in the forest. They're slowly but steadily gaining ground, and especially out here in the middle of the map. Red 4 is setting up a sort of, well, half and half defense, and the team killer is now rushing forward with his command vehicle into an area where he's being greeted by the French and the Norwegians. This is a very short-lived CV. Over on the right, not too much, just a defensive force, and they are already hiding one command vehicle, because you can never let these games drag on for too long. Now, over on the right, in Fox, we have the Leopard 2A4, which is taking a massive beating from the Jiangyu 3s. The sector is, or was, neutralized, since Mr. CPU over here decided to deploy command infantry. And this sector has absolutely nothing in here. Foxtrot is completely abandoned. And there we go, it's now neutral. If this CV, for some reason or another, is forced to relocate, and I think this BMP-3 might be a really good reason for it to try and relocate, then they're going to capture the sector. And they will have the capacity of bringing in new land units. And of course, more ships from up close. Now, Red 4 has a couple of these Jiangyu 3s. They're good ships, but they're also 160 points each in a 10v10 tactical. So while they completely dominate the water part of the map, they're not doing very well on the shore part of the map, where they are losing terrain as if there's just... I don't know. I didn't really have a way of finishing that sentence properly, so I'll let you guys do that one. US Marines pushing up into Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz, I think, are still managed, and US Marines, unfortunately, only have one squad currently actively attacking. And the Spetsnaz are fighting back, but are a little overwhelmed by the number of Marines. This sector is, much like Foxtrot, defenseless. And unlike Foxtrot, this sector is already being taken over by Red, whereas this area, well, there is a CV lurking around, a Blue 4 command infantry unit inside a KM900. If this thing can get over there, then they are flipping the map. This situation does not look good for Blue 4. There is a Cobra around, and I think it's damaged the BMP-3, but Mr. CPU is just lacking that last bit of firepower to go after it. I mean, sure, he could kill it. He could very easily kill it. But he might be expecting that there is more out there. Still, the Jiangyu is in position. This Jiangyu could be a threat if Blue 4 decides to go with aircraft. These things have a range of 2,800 meters, which is not as bad as some of the Blue 4 ships, which you can park offshore. And of course, an Udaloy or a Sovereign would be far worse. But still, you don't really want to be flying over here with helicopters or planes. Red 4 CV on the move. I really hope that Blue 4 does not take this opportunity to spawn in anything, and they do, and it immediately gets murdered by the 2 Jiangyus. Now, in all fairness, he might not know, or might not have known, that the sector was temporarily capped, so he called in the Rangers from over here, and instead they spawned right over there. It's hard to judge whether that's true or not. Back to the Red 4 spawn zone, where we have nothing short of a KM900 going after a Smirch. This thing is 10 points, this thing is 140 points, so this thing can get a 14 times markup if it can get the kill, but with an accuracy of 5%, and this thing having, well, 1 point of front armor, but little else, it's going to take quite a while before these things actually do anything. So it is up to, yes, the Type 59 command tank to try and defend its artillery, and it does. The CV is on the move. this CV is holding position, and their CV from blue is in position now. So red 4's main spawn is neutralized. And with that, also their air spawn. Sure, they have this sector. And they have this sector now, since blue CV finally got killed off. But they don't have an air spawn. So the map, where originally it was divided like this, is now divided down the middle. This is so, well, weird, and the situation is still fluid. The situation is not exactly secure for either party, because you don't really know where you're going to go next. Now apparently red is really playing hide and seek, at least in the later parts of the game, where they have hidden... Fuck me, is this one player? Yes. So this is Kiwi. Lazy Kiwi, who has... What the hell? I shit you not, Lazy Kiwi has 4 command vehicles, which are nowhere near a position where they're actually supposed to be, where they're actually useful as a cap unit, and he has done absolutely nothing. Professional soldiers are predictable, but the world is full of dangerous amateurs. Let me just reiterate that. Blue 4 is doing a good job pushing over here, and in fact have kept it. They now control the red 4 main spawn, so they can now call in airplanes. We have 2 CVs which are trying to run away as best they can. An FSV is spawned in, and with it they should be finally able to take out the Smirch. There you go, the Marines took it out. So now they have complete control of the sector. They don't have to share it with any artillery units or enemy command units. And red 4 has very few units left on this side of the map. That situation is very different on this side of the map, where red 4 is now actively pushing in with a couple of XA-185 KTs filled with infantry. And these guys are, well, really not taking any prisoners as they're pushing towards blue 4 spawn. Blue 4 spawn, unfortunately for blue, is not defended. You got 3 FOBs, a couple of ATGM or anti-ship missiles, not even ATGMs, one whole very outdated AA gun, and 1 Humvee with a recon unit. And that's all. If these guys actually push down the road, and there's a very good chance that they will, then they are going to be able to push right into this sector and wipe it out. In the meanwhile, it seems like the Dutch Marine Corps is way out of position, or returning from a previous engagement. And 120 of the Corps Mariniers are just sitting around doing nothing, actually. X-85s, or XA-185s, are now pushing in. They're encountering one whole group of Panzer Grenadiers, but they haven't actually spotted it yet. So we got a group of Eriks, and we got a group of Yanko, and that is it. But Blue Force Command unit has been wiped out. It's not like Red actually pushed the CV in here. It's just that they don't have any. But Blue CV has now been neutralized. Over on the far right, Red is almost at risk of losing their capture zone of the naval units. They do have a ship coming back, but that ship is not going to be able to stop all of these units, and the Kutai only need to fire off 1 shot to actually kill this thing. Unfortunately, they don't quite get it. They are trying to make a move on it. This thing only has 1 hit point left, but unfortunately there's a second one. So even if they would have killed this one, then they wouldn't have finished yet. They'd still need to get the other one, but now both are on the move. So Red has only 1 capture zone left, effectively, and that's Foxtrot. So at this point, Blue has a massive income advantage, but they're behind on points. Blue is at 20,000 or 2,055, and Red on 2,275. And Red, I suppose, would really like to capture this area, but it's going to take him a little bit of time to actually get a command vehicle in there. If only we had some more command vehicles not actually doing anything. If only. But it seems like this guy is... I'm not even sure what he's doing. Let's... Well, I suppose he's living up to his nickname of being lazy. But aside from that... Jesus. I'd rather not have this guy on my team. Now there is a command vehicle trying to get in. And then spots a couple of 185s and decides, maybe I don't want to go in there. The 185s are now hungry to get the command vehicle kill. So they're pushing back, trying to get the command vehicle out of there to make sure that the Blue 4 team has no way of recapping this sector. In the meanwhile, over here, we have Void Cyrano, who has a couple of TGBs, which are really close to a CV, but I think neither party knows where the other party is. They're very, very close. And this is what you get if you have a CV with medium optics and a couple of transports with poor optics, and you don't offload your infantry. Speaking of, I don't exactly know why he is not offloading his infantry, because in this terrain it is not only safer, but potentially also faster to be moving around with the infantry outside of the vehicle. Command vehicles are still in position and still in control of Alpha, but Red 4 has dangerously low amount of incoming points. That, however, has still not exactly broken the score. Around 2005 for blue, 2490 for red. If red can keep this up, despite having lost almost all terrain, they will win. And considering how much of a hide-and-seek party blue has to do, they might actually get away with it too. Now, it seems like at this point everything just slows down to a crawl. There's nothing going on. People are just probably scratching their heads, wondering exactly what the hell just happened. And maybe more importantly, where to go next. Blue seems to have a decent grasp of the middle. We got the JSDF Rangers, a command helicopter, a command infantry unit, which is utterly undefended. Red, similarly utterly undefended. If you approach from here, the Jiangyu should not be able to do any damage. And now, interestingly, while Blue 4 started over here, the Aardvark is actually coming in from the other area. Aardvark is dropping on something? Seriously? Yes. Okay, so we have an Aardvark. This is a 130 point plane. This plane drops 12 bombs worth 340 kilograms apiece, doing 12 HE damage. Then we have the XA-185KT, which is just a 15 point transport. An 8 times markup is a little light on a plane. You're trying to hit something and, well, I suppose trying to kill something, which is only 8 times less expensive than your jet. So that was a really weird attack run. Maybe the guy didn't have any other units, but that was really weird. The big question is, who do we have left? I think most of blue is still here, except for Exochilton, who just left. But look at how few points blue has. We got Gonzalette with 602. Then the next up is Cocaine Train with 412. And Dingo at 307. Oh, sorry. Jingotge at 517. And Dingo at 307. Then we have Carol, 2 points. Das Boat, 22 points. Exochitten for 87 points. It's just such a weird game. Now at this point, Blue 4 is trying to make a move on Alpha. If they can neutralize this sector, they deprive Red 4 of a bit more land deployment sectors, but also they wipe out some more income from Red. So if they could do this, that'd be lovely. The Norlandsjägere should be able to take on the Morskaya in a one-on-one fight. But not if there's a Jiangyu offshore. Let alone 2. So this is going to be a bit more than these Norlandsjägere can pull off. But at the same time, they don't have to kill the Morskaya. This is what they have to kill. And it seems like they know where it is. F-84F comes in, which is a rocket plane. I sometimes refer to them as a throwaway plane because they generally don't do much, or their survivability is really low. You send them in once, it strikes something, and hopefully you kill it and then you make it out. That's more or less the life expectancy of those planes. And if you hit something which is more expensive than your own plane, then you probably got a good trade out of it. Now, next up we have the Dutch Marine Corps, who managed to sneak in, or, well, maybe not so much sneak, they just walked across the field, decided to take up position in the building, and are now engaging Formosa. And thanks to all of these containers and cranes which are in the way, the line of sight for the ship is pretty damn difficult. So the Marines are having a fun time taking out the Formosa. Formosa did give their position away and now quickly got their weapons turned off. Marines jumped building, temporarily getting spotted by the ship, which immediately started to pound that building. Did a little bit of damage, but then the Formosa are on the run. This too is such a weird position for these guys to be in. But then again, there is... Oh, hang on. There is really not that much that Red 4 can probably afford to buy. Because they got so few sectors. They got one... Yeah, and they just lost that one. They got one sector left. Now here's the Aardvark again. This time it goes for the Airstrikes, which are 35 points. So it is definitely a better target. If it hits. He killed exactly one guy. The Aardvark is not a great plane in that role. Yes, sure, it can do larger area bombardments like carpet bombing. But the problem with that plane is that its payload is just not heavy enough. If you want to really uproot somebody from a building, you're going to have to bring 1,000 kilogram bombs or 500s at the very least. The 340s just aren't cutting it. This, however, could be more effective. Provided that you don't drop it on your friendly forces. Friendly fire isn't. The Ranikos are trying to defend this area from the impending Commander Marine raid. And then again, both have to fall back thanks to a Blue 4 napalm bombardment. Finally, these guys have managed to sneak a command vehicle around. I think it went all the way through the forest. If they offload it, they can once again re-establish position. That is, if they have the points to buy anything. And with that, hopefully last a little longer. At this point, red and blue are still really close together. 2905 versus 3105. This game can really go either way. Oh, come on. It can be quite frustrating to watch a neutral viewer. Because you see everything. You know exactly what's going on. And the Marines were almost on top of the command infantry. And didn't get them. And now they're moving away. They were so close. So close. Anyway. With red having re-established control in this sector, they are now able to call in airplanes again, which are immediately getting shot down by blue. I'm not even too sure who shot that down, because I'm seeing no AA over this area anywhere. So it might have been an interceptor or a fighter at longer range. Another Yak-38 comes in, and apparently Boba at this point does know who is enemy and who is friendly, and decides to drop right on top of the Chekyonsa and kills them. The position for red is shaky, but at least these guys can resupply from a fob, and the commandos cannot say the same. Here comes Boba again, with another Yak-38, this time again going for a target which he can actually damage. The Leopard C2, the commandos narrowly avoided death over there, and the JSDF Rangers are a little shaken after that bombardment. Next airstrike, an SU-24. Super Hornet takes it out. Interestingly, this is an anti-ship plane, but it does have a couple of long-range air-to-air missiles. Those A-120A MRAMs at 7.7 clicks. So he does kill the plane. And the bombardment hits the position where the commandos were. These guys once again had a very close brush with death, and then managed to get out of the position. Now, what's gonna happen? Blue has all this terrain. They still are 200 points behind. If they don't get any more kills, then it's going to be a draw. Which, on the one hand, I think they deserve, because they lost their main spawn and they lost Foxtrot. On the other hand, they control almost the entire map. Which makes the argument that that should give them the victory. Now, another napalm strike. Unfortunately, the Airstrikes did have one more building left. And I think they just don't have the range to engage the commandos. Nope. These guys have the anti-tank and the anti-air, but not really any anti-infantry. Their range is 455. We got a bunch of or very, very aggressive Marine Corps dudes coming in, and Look at that. That's a really nice smokescreen. Really well done. These guys can now easily push in and completely wipe out the Airstrikes. The commandos are also trying to push in, and I hope this napalm dies out quick. Otherwise there's just not that much that these guys can contribute to the fight. Look at this! They are pushing in again, and now they're about to find the command vehicle. It seems like... Hold on, is this guy actually deploying combat forces now? Lazy Kiwi. Yep. He is actually deploying a combat unit. He still has 0 points, and after 24 minutes he finally decides to actually contribute to the fight. By ignoring the Commando Marine, or the Corps Mariniers, which are over here. Which are flushing out the command unit. And there we go. Super Cobra, I think, was the one who got that kill. So, Red has no sector. Not Foxtrot, not Golf, not Alpha. But Lazy Kiwi still has a bunch of command units. Considering that there's still 6 minutes left on the timer, I think Blue is going to be just scouring all over the map, trying to find those units. Oh, there's one. Holy shit, are these the same Burliers? These could very well be the same exocets that were brought in over here. Killed off one of their ships, drove here, resupplied, tried to do it again, got deterred, and drove all the way around the map to here, where they are still out of missiles, but I think they've cleaned up the shore pretty nicely. All the Red 4 ships are gone. Yeah, this is gonna take a bit of time. Red 4 is 300 points behind. Blue 4 has to find the command units. If they don't, then it might be a draw. There you go. Now they found one, they found two. And they're about to find the third. Nope. Yep, they know where it is. Finally. Murphy's Law. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. And if you have amateur teammates which are not really too well versed in what a normal player would do, you can get these weird games where people start to act so unpredictably that it is very hard to build a strategy around it. So, I'm not going to go through a whole detailed kill list because, well, I don't have one. This was a weird game. I'd say be on the lookout for this guy, Boba, because apparently he thinks it's funny to immediately kill off a friendly column. That was absolutely friendly fire and not some sort of incident. And Lazy Kiwi, just deploying command infantry, or sorry, command units in the middle of nowhere, hogging points, because, well, let's face it, he has 4 command units, so that's 400 points that he's hogging, which are not actually doing the fighting. And on top of that, he was probably gaining income and just decided not to buy anything. Wargame can be a really weird game. Anyway, down below in the description, there's the link towards murphyslaws.com. And that's the military version of Murphy's Laws. I really had a good laugh out of some of these. There were some weird things in there. Hope you enjoyed them. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure to become a Patreon supporter, because over there you can get early intel on what new vids are coming up. And of course, you directly support the channel, other than by just watching the ads. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this weird game. Have fun with the Murphy's Laws, and I shall see you guys soon in the next video.